From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Hello everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and of course the big question as we watch this afternoon update, is it going to snow in Redding? A lot of you who live in the Redding area always wait, and every year like, I'd love it for it to snow. Well, before we get into that, let's get into the weather headlines and what we're going to be talking about during this weather forecast. Next round of heavy rain and snow, it arrives today. We're already starting to see that begin to happen for some of us. Flooding impacts will continue into Friday, unfortunately. So as this rain kicks in, we may see some of those rivers, creeks, streams begin to rise again. We may see some areas where we'll see some flooding once again. Already still seeing closures again here for today for parts of Northern California, including in parts of the valley too. Snow levels will be averaging around 2,000 feet, but that doesn't mean it won't get any lower than that because it could. Mainly dry by Friday afternoon into early next week. All right, here's your neighborhood forecast at a glance. There you can see the wet weather here. Again, I've got snow levels about 1,500 feet for Trinity County. Again, it could get lower than that at times. We're kind of seeing these snow levels go up and down a little bit here throughout the day, making that forecast even trickier, especially when we're talking about that snow in the valley floor. All right, so here's what we got. Let's take a look at the satellite image here. It's an area of low pressure right here. This is originating from the south and west. So, of course, as you know, when it comes from the south and west, it's a warmer air mass. It's a warmer air. It's got moisture, a lot of moisture associated with it, and that's what's moving on through, and that's the source of moisture that we're getting. However, it's also working with colder air that's already been kind of hovering to our north and west and kind of moving into Northern California. So the warm, moist air working with the colder air, perfect ingredients for low snow levels. And one of the several ingredients that we need for us to see that in the valley as well. But you got to get all those stars to align just right in order for the valley to really start to see some of that snow. You know, you talk about the ingredients you need for snow. Think about like a chocolate chip cookie. If you don't have the chocolate chips in there, it's not a chocolate chip cookie anymore, is it? Kind of the same situation. You take away ingredients and suddenly you're not looking at snow. Whether you see a shift in the winds or a pocket of cooler air comes in or a pocket of warmer air comes in or you see a heavy downpour which can bring down the cooler air. There are so many different factors. So a lot of times we don't know it's going to snow until it's happening. But then there are other times when we can start to see things aligning with the forecast model data. And all right, we feel pretty confident about that. But right now, there's not a lot of confidence. I'm going to show you two different forecast models. This one is the in-house forecast model. And what it basically is a forecast model that we use here at Weather NorCal and is pretty much only available here at Northern NorCal. Then we're going to look at another one after this. It's called the HRRR. And that one is another fairly reliable forecast model, and we'll take a look at the two. All right, so here we are at noon. Let's take you to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon. That snow line not getting any closer to the valley. Now, we're starting to see more in the way of that mix getting closer to the valley, but if you notice, we're just keeping it in the form of rain for the valley. By the way, look at Weaverville, Hayfork. See, it's kind of going back and forth between snow and rain-snow mix. Same thing around Shingletown at 3,500 feet. Looks like Bernie seeing a bit of a mix by 5 p.m. and then more in the way of snow again. But 6 p.m., thunderstorms are a possibility, but snow based on this model doesn't look like it's going to happen based on this particular forecast model. Even through 8 o'clock tonight, 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's still well, it looks like we're going to be dry by then. In fact, we're still seeing snow in the mountains. Colder air is finally settling on in, but then by then, most of the snow and rain is gone. All right, here's the HRRR forecast. So again, looking at the in-house model here at Weather NorCal, it's not showing any snow in the valley at all. Let's take a look at this one. Now, if you watched my morning forecast, especially during Coffee with Krueger, and I showed you this model, it was more aggressive. But now it's actually this latest forecast model is pulling back on the snow in the valley. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here we are at noon today. we're going to go ahead and advance this into time. We're going to take you into 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That snow line isn't getting any closer to the valley, but you'll notice Shingletown, Hayfork seeing snow, Weaverville looks like having a hard time with it, but Bernie most likely seeing that snow based on this particular forecast model. Okay, here we are at 4 o'clock. Once again, that snow line not getting any closer to the valley. We are seeing some heavier snow here that could be moving closer to Red Bluff, but this will work its way northward. Here's 5 p.m. Once again, we're not seeing any snow in particular for the valley. This is getting really close. Old Shasta, maybe west, northwest Reading, seeing some of that is what I'm seeing here. But overall, it's just right there trying to make its way in the valley, but not quite. Even the city of Shasta Lake. All right, so now we go into 6 p.m. Same thing. It's just not quite making its way here. Let's go into 7 p.m., right? Again, it's just really close, 8 p.m. There's 9, 10 o'clock at night. We're seeing snow in Weaverville, Hayfork, but look at Bernie. Now it's transitioning back over to rain, right? And then we go into about midnight tonight. Again, most of it's in the mountains. We're starting to dry things out and should be drier through the day on Friday. But you get the idea. This model is bringing that snow a little bit closer. The in-house model has it farther away. So my confidence at this point, not really high. Here's a couple of things we've got to watch through the afternoon. What are the temperatures doing? What are the winds doing? If we get more of that north flow of winds, which quite honestly, that's what's happening. We've got a north flow of wind. That will help to kind of usher in some cooler air. When we typically see a south wind, that typically will not support anything. So here's the bottom line. If we see a rain-snow mix in Reading, Anderson, Cottonwood, City of Shasta Lake, don't be surprised. If you see all fluffy, if you see for a short period of time just all snowflakes, don't be surprised. If you see accumulating snow on the ground, be surprised. I just think the ground's going to be too warm for that if we get it all in the form of snow. But it's going to be such a short window that I don't think it would last for very long. This is not a snowmageddon. All right, so here we are. We're going to take a wider perspective. Now we're just going to take a look at the entire area so you can get an idea. We're not just going to focus on the valley. All right, so here we are at noon. Let's take you through the afternoon. Hayfork, Weaverville. Hayfork looks like a bit of a mix. Weaverville looks like mainly in the form of rain. There you can see Bernie snow, Altura snow, Mount Shasta snow. That's this afternoon. Let's take you into this afternoon, evening. Again, looking at those thunderstorms here. Snow for Hayfork, maybe a bit of a mix near Weaverville. Bernie looks like a bit of a mix there, but snow in Mount Shasta, snow in Wairika. So again, we're seeing those lower snow levels. But you see this warmer air still seems to be kind of coming in from the main storm system. So it's much warmer down in the south and east, and it's all showers and thunderstorms here, but not much in the way of snow. But up to the north, northwest, you're seeing better snow. That's 9 o'clock tonight. Now, 9 o'clock tonight, we're still seeing some showers in parts of the valley. You can see here, even at midnight, still some showers for the coast. Drying out at midnight for the valley. Snow in the mountains, even off to the east, because now at this point, that warmer storm system's moved out. The colder air is moving in behind it. But here's the problem. That warmer storm system had all the moisture. That's where all the moisture was. Now that moisture has moved on out. We've just got some leftover moisture for it to work with. But you see how it's all just starting to fizzle out? Here we are at 6 a.m. on Friday, maybe a few snow flurries, and then we go into around the midday on Friday. Yeah, okay, maybe a pop-up shower. If we get enough clearing, I'm not too confident that that will happen, so I'm going to keep it mainly dry here for your Friday. And then you can see by Friday afternoon, Friday night, we're completely dry. We're looking at those clear skies. But look at Saturday morning. Another weak disturbance may clip extreme northwestern California, but you can see it pretty much breaks apart. So I think the coast, inland, could be looking at a potential for some light showers Saturday morning, but by midday it's all gone and it's dry for Saturday afternoon for everyone. There you can see the rain. If you watched this morning, I was mentioning I think we could get over an inch of rain for some of us. Forecast models are picking up a little bit more on that. I'd say about 3/4 of an inch to maybe an inch to an inch and a quarter in some spots here. Less off to the coast, less off to the east, and of course to the north. Again, a lot of it's going to be in the form of snow, so the rain estimates are not picking up on much on that rain. All right, so here we are at noon today. Let's take a look at this forecast snow and the mountains, the road conditions. Look at that. There's a look at Buckhorn Summit. There's Highway 36. There you can see, of course, in the eastern mountains, we're seeing those chain requirements most likely. The snow will start to get a little bit heavier. More of that colder air moving in. I-5, I think, will run into issues. Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Berry Summit, Highway 36. East of I-5, I still think there could be some chain requirements. And then once that cold air really filters in overnight into tomorrow morning, now we're seeing better chances for chain requirements east of I-5. And again, at this point, you saw on Futurecasters not a ton of snow at this point. However, when you see snow overnight, it's going to stick and it's going to stay around for a while, and it's going to be hard for Caltrans to really kind of keep up with it. Usually they do a pretty good job, but it can get rather heavy, and we'll see what happens. I mean, so if you wake up tomorrow morning and you've got chain requirements, just note that there's going to be a very good possibility for that north, east, and west of I-5. That's just going to be the bottom line here. This is a fairly cold storm system coming in, and of course even through 9 a.m., but conditions will improve as we go through the day tomorrow. Do have that winter storm warning for the areas in pink and that winter weather advisory basically through tomorrow morning. These estimates are actually looking pretty good if we can keep it in the form of snow the entire time, right? Places like Bernie, right? So it just depends on where you are. You can see not as much moisture down to the south and east, but there you can see maybe 4 to 8 inches around Mount Shasta City area. Mount Shasta's already seen some of that snow. And of course the ski park, on top of what we've already seen here so far this morning, I think we could pick up another foot or so of snow out at the ski park. So again, here's the overall setup, colder air. That's kind of streaming on in. That colder air pushes to the east, and now we're losing a lot of that moisture, so not much in the way of rain or snow on Friday. So there's that weak system on Saturday. Now we go through next week, and for the most part I'm keeping it dry. Latest models now want to bring in a little bit of a slider right here. The winds will pick up and maybe even a little bit of precipitation. For now I'm keeping it dry through Wednesday, and then by Thursday this storm system comes in, and some of the models indicating once again this could be a low snow elevation event, or low elevation snow event that is, which could possibly include the valley as well. That's a long way out, but it's something that I'm watching and monitoring very closely, just as I'm watching the one here for today. Flood warning still in effect here for parts of the Sacramento River. This is the Sacramento River Tehama Bridge where there is that warning. As we see the rain, that of course will rise. We're back up to the flood stage, and then we're back down below that here by the time we go into the weekend. We take you out to Vina-Woodson Bridge. Should stay just below that flood stage, but it will be close with the rain that we do see here for today, so it will rise here later tonight and into tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the Sacramento River at Ord Ferry. It's already in the flood stage and will just slowly drop, but even as we go into the weekend, look at this, it's still just hovering very close to the flood stage, but should begin to drop a little bit more after that for early next week. Also, the flood warning through 5 o'clock Saturday morning, as we're still in that major flood stage, and then it's going to kind of hover there, and then it will start to just slowly drop after that as we go into the weekend and early next week. Here's a look at your forecast for today. Those temperatures mid-40s in the valley, temperatures in the 30s for the higher elevations. Here's your 7-day forecast. Wet today, dry for the most part on Friday. If you see a stray shower for some of you, don't be surprised on Friday, but for the most part it's dry through the weekend and dry through Wednesday of next week, at least for now. Taking a look at the North Coast, inland, and also Weaverville, it's dry on Friday for the most part, maybe a stray shower in some spots here. I do expect some morning showers for the coast and inland, otherwise dry through most of the day and then dry through Wednesday. And your 7-day outlook for Siskiyou County, Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains. So, as we saw in Futurecast, for Friday morning through the morning hours, we've got snow possibilities for both Alturas and Susanville, but by the afternoon, that should pretty much subside. Dry for the weekend, dry as we go through Wednesday of next week. That's your afternoon update. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again this evening at 6 o'clock, looking again at the latest forecast model data, and by then we'll know if Redding has seen snow or not. Stay tuned and have a great afternoon.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, And the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.